Bolden.
Here.
Blevins.
Here.
Sansing. Ray.
Yeah.
Mashburn.
Here.
Trailer.
Here.
Twittig. Smith. Raines.
Here.
Mr. Mayor,
I'm here.
I have 3 absent, sir.
Thank you. There is a quorum. So you have the presentation of the minutes of the August 18th meeting, and I'm looking for approval and planning for correction to the July 21st meeting. Got a motion, second. Any question, changes, corrections? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Do I hear anything about the consent agenda?
Move we accept it.
Second.
Got a motion, second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay, that brings us to, the police department has, some information. Lieutenant Wright or Chief Hibb, I don't know who's gonna present this. But this is back a few meetings ago, we approved the, removal of some properties.
Right.
And this is telling you how much the bid is and how that process is going. More information on anything else, because it's under the threshold, but we wanted you to know that we're actually doing what y'all approved us to do.
Right.
Or they are.
We got 3 total bids for the properties. We're gonna demo 8 properties, not the full amount. The remaining properties that are not being demoed either have permits on them, they're in the process of trying to conduct a sale, or they said they would demo the property themselves. Those properties did not get demoed where we approached that at the first of the year and put those on the next list. But we had 3 bids for 8 properties. The first bid was Vermeer Home Care at $90,700. All Seasons Lawn Care at $115,000, and Bedwell All-in-One at $44,075. We noticed there was a big gap there between the cost. I confirmed with Mr. Bedwell. He is a licensed contractor. He's got 26 years experience, and advised that he had all of his own equipment. That's why his costs were so low. He doesn't have to pay dumpster fees or anything like that. So we're electing to go with Bedwell All-in-One. Our budget was $50,000 is what we had. We're running at $38,772.22 right now, but that was due to some other cleanup projects we had at 104 South Elm, West Hickory. So that lowered our budget. We would need approval for the other $5,000 to cover that cost.
So you're asking for a motion to approve another $5,000?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, any questions, Lieutenant
Move to
Wright?
accept the low bid.
We're accepting low bid, sir, yes.
I have a question though. Have we used them before?
We have not used them before. So this is the first time we've actually had several people bid it. So we actually put it on the website, and we had more than 1 or 2 people bid it, and Bedwell's never done it. But like I said, they got 26 years experience. He's got his contractor's license and has his insurance. So,
Councilmember Blevins.
Is this coming out of the general fund?
no, this is coming out of my code budget.
The code budget?
So,
Councilmember.
Now, you made a statement that, I'll make sure I heard you right, that some people said they were gonna do their own demolition, is that correct?
yes, he owns his own demolition company.
No, I'm saying some of the properties.
Yes, one of the properties on Marion, the 2 houses on Marion Street, one of them has already had a permit pulled for rehab. The other one, he said he was going to demolish himself. So,
Do we have a deadline for that?
giving him till the first of the year to get that done. If not, it's going on the list.
Gotcha, okay.
Any other questions? Okay, I have a motion to accept this.
Got my foot on it.
I have a motion to accept this and add 5,000 to.
The exact amount will be $5,302.78.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Then the next is, that brings us to ordinance 1704, waiving competitive bidding for police department. I entertain a motion to place ordinance 1704 on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, roll call.
Councilmember Bolden.
Aye.
Councilmember Blevins.
Aye.
Councilmember Ray.
Aye.
Councilmember Mashburn.
Aye.
Councilmember Trailer.
Aye.
Councilmember Twitty. Councilmember Raines.
Aye. Ordinance number 1704, an ordinance waiving competitive bidding for Jacksonville Police Department vehicles and upfitting for said vehicles for appropriate implementation and access for Department and City of Jacksonville representatives, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
Thank you. Chief Hibbs to explain.
This is for 5 new police cars we want to order through the ARP funds. This is out of Superior Auto. There's only, there's a shortage of police cars, period, in the country. There's a shortage of police cars especially. There won't be anything on the state contract this year. All the cars, the Tahoes, have all been bought up by big dealerships across the country. And I'm afraid if I don't order them now, and put my name on some of them, they're going to be gone. There's a desperate need for them. The Tahoes for 2023 have already been sold. They quit selling.
What's the lead time on these vehicles?
Well,
The lead time on these vehicles, when would you get at them?
They're expected to be around the end of October, 1st November.
So you get
But
them-
that's to the dealership, then that will go to the upfitter. And, of course, when the upfitter has to order all the equipment to put in them, some of that, supply chain issues, some of that's running behind on the current cars we have. So, I'm thinking by the 1st of the year.
Councilmember Blevins.
I just have a question. I'm all for us getting vehicles, obviously, but are we doing this out of order? Because this is for the ones that are going to be on the improvement of the APRA money, but we haven't even done that resolution yet. So are we putting the cart before the horse right now?
I think we can approve it for this purpose, just this, without approving the whole thing. Am I correct? Huh? Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Okay. Any other questions? Is this?
I would add-
This
oh.
isn't on state contract or is?
No, there's nothing on state contract
Okay.
left this year and probably won't be any next year, I don't think, because all the vehicles are sold to big dealerships.
They
And
get the low bid, there's having.
I only found 2 dealers in Arkansas that had police packages, and one was Bell Chevrolet, and the other one is Superior, which is up in northwest Arkansas. And they had the best price, and we would like to use our current upfitter, which is Arkansas Valley. They're in North Little Rock. They're a Motorola dealer. They set up our cars now. They know what we want. They put the computers, printers, cameras, body cameras, car cameras, all that stuff. They know it's a package deal. So we're happy with them. I'm not happy with some of the others. There's only 2 others, and we haven't had good service with them. And this one just happens to be the lowest bidder.
Councilmember Traylor.
What kind of vehicles are they? What are they?
They are 2023 Tahoes.
2023s?
Mhm.
Any other questions of Chief? Okay. Seeing none, I entertain a motion to approve on first reading and suspend the rules and place on second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Roll call.
Councilmember Bolden?
Aye.
Blevins?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Mashburn?
Aye.
Trailer?
Aye.
Twitty?
Aye.
Raines?
Aye.
Okay. I entertain a motion approval on second reading and place on third and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Anybody have any more questions? What we're doing? Okay. Roll call.
Councilmember Bolden?
Aye.
Blevins?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Mashburn?
Aye.
Trailer?
Aye.
Twitty? Raines?
Aye.
I entertain a motion approving and adopt 1704.
Moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call. Yeah.
Councilmember Bolden?
Aye.
Blevins?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Mashburn?
Aye.
Trailer?
Aye.
Twitty? Raines?
Aye.
I entertain a motion approving and adopt the emergency clause attached.
Second.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Bolden?
Aye.
Blevins?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Mashburn?
Aye.
Trailer?
Aye.
Twitty? Raines?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to the presentation of the 2021 audit by BKD, or Forbes, formerly BKD.
Forvis, yes, sir.
Forbes.
Good evening. My name is David Coleman. I am a partner with Forbes. We're formerly BKD. When you all selected us as your new auditor, we were BKD. At June 1, we became Forbes. We merged in with a firm about the same size as us, and we're now the 8th largest CPA firm in the country. So a little weird going from BKD to Forvis, but I'm getting used to saying Forvis. So we started your audit back in May, and we issued your final reports today. So everything is issued. We issued clean opinions on your compliance. You know, we had to audit your ARPA money that you're talking about. You spent some last year on police salaries. We had to audit your internal control over compliance, your compliance with state acts, and your financial statements. So I'm happy to report to you, you all have clean opinions on your financial statements. You know, we came in here, you've used the same auditor for 40 years. And so with new faces, we tend to, you know, certain things come up. So we did have 2 restatements in the current year. And what that means is, so your capital assets that you record, last year, they got a little behind, and at year end, they weren't correct. And so this year, when the staff were reconciling the capital assets, they determined that there was a problem, and we need to go back and restate beginning net position for your capital assets. So we went back and restated your beginning net position for those capital asset additions and deletions. It involved no cash or anything. It was just the way that they were classified on your financial statements, okay? The second one, if you'll remember, at the end of 2020, you had a bond refunding where you went out and issued new debt to pay for existing debt. And sometimes it happened during Christmas time, and the money that was going to be used to pay off the old debt never got moved from the trust account at the bank that it was in. So as a result, the city had $7 million recorded that really wasn't theirs last year. It should have been paid. It should have been paid to pay off the old debt. You also had the $7 million debt still on the books that you had legally defeased. So it was legally paid off at year end. So we went back and corrected the fund balance for that at the beginning of the year. Again, there was no money missing or anything like that. It was just a timing issue. Okay? So that was the 2 main issues that we found that required restatement. So I want to make sure you all understand that there was no money missing or anything like that. There was just material errors in the prior year financial statements that we went and fixed. Okay? But other than that, clean, unmodified opinion. Okay? I know, you know, you pay attention to your operating fund, your general fund of the city. Very, very healthy financially. You ended the year with $9 million in fund balance. That represents about 45% of your operating budget in the general fund. So that equates to 45% of expenditures. The GFOA, who is kind of our oversight, who makes policy for governments, they suggest 20%. So you're well above that 20% threshold at 45%. Okay, all of your enterprise funds, you made a profit on all of those enterprise funds. Your shooting range, your sanitation department, all of those made money. So what that can tell you is the city is charging what it should be to provide those services to your citizens. So you don't want to see a loss when you're looking at your enterprise funds. So all of those were well. Your pension funds, you know, you have 3 or 4 pension plans. All of those are really well funded. The city has an old police plan, an old fire plan. All of those are overfunded, which means you have more money in those pension systems than ultimately is going to be required to pay out actuarially right now. So good job there funding your pension plans. With that being said, you know, you did get the GFOA award. I mentioned the GFOA a little bit. That's the Government Finance Officers Association. You did receive that award last year, that prestigious award. We anticipate that you will receive it again this year with your current ACFR. We're going to strive to get this done a little bit earlier next year. The gold standard is 6 months. We're sitting here at September 15th. So we're a couple months behind where we need to be, and I'm going to work with staff on getting this audit turned around and on time. With that being said, we're ahead of where we were last year by a couple months, even with the issues that we encountered and had to fix. I appreciate the mayor's support. Cheryl really helped us get what we needed to get the audit. I know she's tired at the end of an audit, so we really appreciate working with you all, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Questions? Councilmember Blevins.
You said that the two pitch plans, excuse me, were overfunded.
Yep.
Excuse me. That's the, is that from the 1 mil, the 1% mil?
Yeah, the old police and old fire.
That the people
So-
voted for years ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So is it like,
It's not excessively over. I think it's 112%, so
Correct.
it's not excessive.
that's what I mean. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Any other questions? Okay, well, I want to thank you for your hard work, and the difference between these people and what before is, how many people would you bring down here? Did y'all have a bus? I mean,
We
4, 5, 6, 7
You
people.
know you've been audited when we roll up. We take our job seriously and follow the standards, and you know the goal is the first year we're here is to make sure that we, you know, any issues that we have, we get them out so we don't have them again.
Okay, and so you're already started on this audit, so we won't be waiting till September.
Well,
I know you had.
You'll have to wait till you're in because it's
I know,
not year
but
in
you're-
yet.
But you're getting the stuff lined up and things.
Oh, yes.
Things that you know.
Yeah, and you know, with the capital asset issue that I described, that was a result of not having enough manpower in the finance department. So that's already been rectified. Management has already hired a capital asset accountant to make sure that will not happen again.
The funds that you said were available at the end of the year, that 45%?
Yes, sir.
How much of that was from the COVID relief money and all that?
I don't think any of it was.
So we've gone from being, how many days?
I don't think any of it was.
So we've gone from being, how many days, Cheryl? Several years ago?
4?
We got down to like
11 days.
27 days, I think.
It was 11 at one time.
All right, so that's no one-time thing. I mean,
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
In other words, we're looking good.
Yeah.
How many cities do y'all audit?
A lot.
I mean, how?
I'll give a brief bio of myself if you want me to. I grew up in North Pulaski County. I went to work in a CPA firm. I chose BKD. About 10 years ago, they moved me off to Dallas. So I helped start the public sector practice in Dallas, Texas. A year ago, I got the opportunity to move back to my home, and I graciously moved back to Arkansas. But we audit the city of North Little Rock, Conway, Fayetteville, Bentonville, Fort Smith. I'm sure I'm leaving some off.
That's fine.
All the big ones.
Yes, and I just.
Yeah,
I
we
wanted your credentials.
Yeah, you know, I don't do tax returns. I don't audit car dealerships. I audit public sector entities. So this is what I do 100% of the time is audit cities. Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
I'd just like to say that a lot of that excess, that 45%, came from us actually getting sales tax, internet sales tax money, though, correct? That's why we had that lull before, because we weren't getting that
Yeah.
money, and now that we are, we're
Sure.
becoming more flush. Is that
Sure. Yep.
pretty correct?
Yep.
Thank you.
It really made a difference, and it leveled the playing field for all your small business people that, you know, couldn't compete, and now they can. So we thank you for your good work.
Well, thank you very much.
And
We appreciate your
fine
business.
team. And I guess this is what all y'all have?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
This,
Okay.
I'll just add, this document is Cheryl's document.
Sure.
So that is something for a city the size of Jacksonville to be extremely proud of, that you have a finance department that can produce this document. We add our opinion in there, but that's about it. We work hard to work together, going back and forth to help produce the document, but she is completely responsible for the content, printing, everything. We just supply the opinions.
And those that aren't auditors, you know, it's our financial statements that you say are correctly
Yes.
materially stated.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl.
We salute.
Good job, Cheryl. Okay.
Bravo.
It's good to get good news, isn't it? Okay, that brings us to ordinance 1703. I entertain a motion to put ordinance 1703 on first reading. And a motion, second? Okay, roll call.
Councilmember Bolden,
Aye.
Blevins,
Aye.
Ray,
No.
Mashburn,
Aye.
Trailer,
Aye.
Twitty, Raines,
Aye. Ordinance 1703, an ordinance to amend various sections of the Jacksonville Municipal Code, Chapter 6, for the city of Jacksonville and other purposes.
Okay, Councilmember Twitty to explain.
So our committee, the ordinance that we had before, we had chickens in the city.
you got your mic on?
Gotta bring it close, yeah.
We had chickens in the city, unlimited. So all we did with our committee was to limit the chickens. So we went 3 chickens, 50 feet. There's 6 chickens, 75 feet. I know this, everybody's tired of hearing about chickens. I am too, okay? But it needed to be addressed because we have unlimited chickens
And roosters, yeah.
and roosters. And so we do not restrict chickens or roosters if you have 2.5 acres or more. That's all this is doing. So keep in mind, we did have a chicken ordinance with unlimited chickens
We're at 100 feet.
within 100 feet. That's the only changes that we've made, is we have limited it, reduced the feet for 3 and 6, and then no restrictions on the roosters or the chickens.
And you went back and made sure Warriors in there that what?
There are no free roaming, so if you have, I spoke with Stephanie, and it's definitely in here, that if you have a 3 or 6 chickens, or whatever, and you have a chicken coop, your chickens can't run in your fenced yard, because if somebody has a dog, that dog's gonna do nothing but bark, and my chickens are gonna be stressed, they're not gonna lay eggs. Anyway, all of that. So we did put in there no free roaming, so they have to be encased inside of a fenced yard.
I just want to thank you for your committee, for the good work you've done. This appears to be a very good ordinance. and
Thank you. Thank you. I hope this is the last time that we have to talk about chickens, so.
Okay, I'd entertain, okay.
Just an open question. How many POAs are there in Jacksonville?
This has nothing to do with
I know,
the,
just asking.
oh, I don't
think
know.
there's 4 or 5. Collinwood, Stonewall, Fair Oaks, Base Meadows.
They have a bill of assurance, maybe they don't.
Yeah, Bill of Assurance City.
Okay, well, they have improvement district.
We do have an ordinance on the POAs and BOAs and all of that, and the city does not enforce them, but we do not go against them. So in Stonewall, they have, I'm using those because I know for sure, because Jim and I have talked, and they don't allow them. We will not say, people in Stonewall, you can have chickens now. That's not going to happen because of what the rules that they have over there in Stonewall.
And I just moved to North Lake, and they gave me a bill of assurance. I actually read it, and it says no chickens.
There you go.
And they have a POA, but it's not used. But there is a bill of assurance, and it lists several other farm
The
animals.
only reason I did that, because I know a lot of people moving to the city, they might not read
Right,
and understand that where they live, they cannot have chickens.
right. If you live in most neighborhoods that are built 75 or after have a bill of assurance.
Yes.
That's true.
Foxwood says no farm animals. Yeah. So, okay. So, any more questions? All right. I entertain a motion to approve on first reading, suspend the rules and place on second reading.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Bolden?
Aye.
Levens?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Ashburn?
Aye.
Trailer?
Aye.
Twitty? Rose?
Aye.
I'm sorry, Raines.
That's all right, Susan. Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve on second reading, place on third and final reading.
So moved.
Okay, got a motion, second, any discussion? All right, roll call.
Councilmember Bolden?
Aye.
Levens?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Ashburn?
Aye.
Trailer?
Aye.
Twitty? Raines?
Aye.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve and adopt 1703.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion, second, any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilmember Bolden?
Aye.
Levens? Ray?
Aye.
Ashburn?
Aye.
Trailer?
Aye.
Twitty? Raines?
Aye.
Well, thank you. We approved and adopted. I guess we put the chickens to roost. All right, so that brings us to Resolution 820. I guess we should read it.
Did we read it, Resolution 820?
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
Resolution 820, a resolution adopting the allocation of American Rescue Plan Act funds for the city of Jacksonville, Pulaski, Arkansas.
Okay, and I think all of you are aware of what this is and have the spreadsheet that shows how we're going to spend this money. When you have $15 million worth of needs and $5 million, it becomes a challenge. And it wasn't my challenge, it was the director's challenge. And they all worked together, they all gave and pushed. So I'd like any I think Kevin, even chiefs, any of them, the big kicker that kind of threw everything off was we have to have a new fire station too. And that kind of put a change in, because the building is not too far from being unsafe. And so questions of any of the directors, what do you like to hear? You got pictures of what Kevin's doing. Would you like the directors to come up and explain to you what each one of them are doing in part of this?
Mayor, I don't know how the other council members feel. I personally have talked to each one of them, and they seem to be satisfied with what we got, so.
I'd like to hear.
Okay, you'd like to have, who you want to start with?
Parks and Rec. Since we got pictures.
Yeah, we got pictures, and I think it'd be important for us to know what we're doing and why we're doing it. And it was actually a discussion we had today on the playground at the local governmental council.
Yes, ma'am.
What is it?
That's Kevin House.
Pump track. They bring
Okay.
that picture is actually the Jones Center in Springdale. I went there about 3 years ago, and when I walked up and seen it, I was like, this is something that would be amazing to have for our
And we're gonna have it this big here? Or is it gonna be modified?
It'll be modified from that. Yeah, that was just to give an idea of what I had in my head of us doing.
Can I make a comment, Kevin? I've actually taken my kid to that park.
In Springdale?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And I hear it almost weekly. I'm not going to say daily, but weekly. There's nothing to do for the kids in Jacksonville. What do they do? We don't have the skating rink anymore. And this right here, I'm telling you, this right here is amazing. I'm having to drive all the way there for my child at the time, but it is something for the kids, with whether you have the skates or the skateboards or the bikes. It's great family fun is what it is, and I think it's absolutely a great thing. I'm happy to see that.
And where's this going to be located?
The plan would be in front of Dupree, where the old apartment complex was torn
Okay, those
down
2 acres there?
several years ago. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and this would be quite an addition to the entrance to the park, and a lot of traffic go by. I think we'll see people coming from other towns, like they have in Springdale.
But you have the skate park over here, so
And that stuff is movable. we could,
I would like to have it all together. If you're gonna-
and that is the plan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've actually,
It's in this price.
I've actually talked to American Ramp Company who designed the one y'all have the picture of. They've done several. They've done North Little Rocks.
So have you been to North Little Rock? They have a really nice
and
one.
They're actually who that skate park equipment was bought from several years ago.
Mhm.
So that's part of this. My budget number includes just getting that relocated there.
I think it really helps getting the kids off the street and give them some place to go and hang out.
Yes, and you'll fence between there and Redmond Road and all safe. And yeah, I know you're all about kid safety, but you know, just have to.
Well, if you've
but I
ever
think
been to
you're
the one
right.
in North Little Rock, I mean, it's not in a great area, and I was deeply concerned taking my child over there and dropping them off. It's not cool for mom to hang out at the skate park with your kid, you know, that's just not cool. I tried, but I lost that battle. But the police patrolled it, they never had, I mean, I couldn't tell y'all how many times I've taken my child over there, and it gives the kids something to do, and they loved it. And so I'm real excited about that.
What are the rest of your things that you have going on here?
And I put a picture of the inclusive playground that is planned. And just to answer any questions, it does say Marshall Smith Park. Part of my budget number on the spreadsheet here is relocating the existing equipment into other parks. That equipment's about 8 years old. They say the lifespan of playground equipment's about 15. We normally get 20 plus out of ours. So when I met with these guys, I told them one of the things I would want to do, and I chose Marshall Smith for the inclusive park just because I mean, you ask anyone in town, they know where Dupree Park is. They may not know where the other ones are. So let's put the inclusive playground there and relocate that equipment into.
And you're talking from the dog park to
Just wherever.
Excel
I've
to
got some needs in
wherever,
Excel.
wherever.
We've
Okay.
got some needs at Johnson where we can take pieces of the existing equipment and move it to other parks.
Is there anything for handicap at all?
That's this whole playground.
The whole
This
thing.
playground.
And that's
inclusive.
all
Okay.
inclusive, yes.
Okay, I was looking for the wheelchair ramp thing.
They're
And not the ramp, but the thing that you put your wheelchair up on and,
And the swings are hard to see in this. We've
Okay,
actually
that's-
talked to him.
that's what I was talking
Yes,
about.
they
Okay.
are there. This park is an inclusive place.
okay.
What about your restrooms at Johnson Park?
And that was cut.
Haven't we tried that
along-
before?
We have,
It's
yeah,
been
and that was
cut.
cut.
It's cut. It's cut.
What is on our proposed, what we have proposed is splash pad on Main Street.
Okay.
Ball field lights at Dupree on fields 5, 6, and 7. Those are original to when that complex was built in the early to mid-90s. They're in bad shape. Scoreboards at Excel Park. As y'all know, we're playing all of our youth sports there now, and our scoreboards are in terrible shape. I've actually tried to get them revamped. They can't fix them. They can't get boards for them. They're obsolete. So they need to be replaced.
Okay.
The pump track and the skate park, the playground, and then we had about 200,000 for pavilion and dugout covers at Dupree. The main one, the big pavilion there by fields 2 and 3 that kind of tie into the dugout covers, it's in terrible shape. I mean, we
It leaks.
piecemealed and patched, and it's time.
Hey, Kevin, on the, can you sell me on this 300,000 for the splash pad? Can you sell that to me? Because I'm not seeing it.
I can try. I've had this discussion with a few council members already. Splash pads are a huge, I mean, they're a huge attraction right now. When I'm going through, when this month, after our first meeting, when I get, all right, let me think of projects that'll hit the most citizens. For a splash pad was one of the things on the top of my list.
I'm talking location, though. That location.
I looked at property we already own that is walkable or bikeable for children. I can't think of a better place of property we already have to put a splash.
But if you're moving the skate park over to Dupree. Have you thought about putting it closer to the center?
I haven't just, and that's a possibility, but I have not. Where are kids, what neighborhoods are that gonna hit? I mean, that's really what, and I'm not talking just state of Arkansas, but even outside. That's the mindset behind the splash pad, is to get it. You want it very visible, number one, for vandalism and things, but you also want it close enough to neighborhoods that kids can walk or bike to it. The community center is very visible, but what neighborhoods, what kids are gonna be able to walk or bike?
What kids are coming to there now? We have kids that come to our community center.
Most
And the
are-
skate park.
Most are dropped, are brought in cars and dropped off.
Well, I'm up at that center every day, Monday through Thursday. Not every day, I don't go Friday and Saturday, but I'm not seeing kids at all. And I know we have picnic tables, and our picnic tables are not being used for what we would like to
It's
see.
getting better. Have you been paying attention lately?
Oh, my goodness.
It's getting better.
Okay. I don't know what glasses you're wearing because, like I say, I'm there every day, and it's, anyway, I'll stop.
And this is gonna be back off of Main, it's not gonna be right on Main Street, it's across the library, and you're also including a food truck.
Well,
in the.
And my hope is, and I think Bishop Bowden and I had this discussion, maybe would this spark some more growth downtown? Hopefully it would. I don't have that answer.
I
but
like the
maybe.
location that you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
So I have a couple of reasons why I don't think this. Number one, like it's right around the corner from Splash Zone. I mean, like it's literally walking distance from Splash Zone. Second of all, it's on Main Street, and I don't know how I feel about having like kids in their bathing suits or whatever with strangers driving by on Main Street with maybe not
If you have
so
it
not so
visible
honest.
though, that's gonna be any street. You don't want a splash pad hidden. So
And also, like, we do have an issue with the homeless population that we still haven't addressed in the city. And I'm afraid this will turn into, like, you know, basically a shower for them or something for them to be able to use. And, like, I mean, $300,000, that would go a long way to actually just dealing with the homeless instead of adding a splash pad. I'm just kind of throwing some stuff. Like, I like a lot of this stuff. Like, you know, me and you have already talked. You know, I'm all about this inclusion park, even though I think the price is high. Of all these things that you have on here, the one thing that I just can't, I feel that this splash pad and pavilion besides Wendy's is just, I don't see it. So, and those are the reasons why. The proximity to Splash Zone, and then
I mean,
keep in mind though,
Zone's
splash
full.
zone is, most splash pads, and what my vision for us having a splash pad would be free. No cost, you know, because I would have a monitor there, but you don't have to have lifeguards in splash pads. So it's something free compared to having to pay to get in the splash.
There's
And
no
I've
charge.
thought of everything that you've said. Bishop and I have talked, you and I have talked. I still feel pretty strongly about it, not hell bent, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
But I do feel pretty strongly that, because you want it in a very visible area. And regardless if it's Main Street or Marshall Road or Graham Road, the things with kids and bathing suits and people driving by is gonna be the same.
well, the other thing is like, you know, that's where the bank is, that's where the food places are, and that's where the library is. So there's a lot of traffic of people that may not even live in the city that's going to be there. I just feel that it opens up for a larger amount of
Which
not
to
really
me, that's
citizens
even more of a
people.
reason to put it there.
I respectfully disagree, but
Right.
go ahead.
Disagree also.
Any other questions?
You and I have talked about this. And all the questions have come up with some of the things I put out. I said the same, dealing with homeless population, taking showers. Also deal with the fact of the key thing of trying to get people to come downtown. Let's face it, there's nothing downtown. Unless you go to McDonald's or one of those areas of the bank. Because that strip mall in the back, which we don't own, has nothing to draw the crowd. So that was my concern, dealing with the splash pad. I see your vision, we agree to disagree, but, you know, I think we should consider possibly looking at other avenues, you know.
I know the picnic tables over there, which you and I've talked about, there was a few ladies that would go after class, boot camp, would go get some coffee and their little donuts and go to the picnic tables over there to sit down and read and talk and play their games or whatever they're doing over there. I don't know. They can't do that now. Every day, 8 o'clock, we have people not using those tables. Well, what the purpose of them were to be. So.
And I'm okay with looking at alternate locations, but if it's gonna be land purchase on top of building,
Oh, yeah.
there'd be an additional.
We're not talking about
No.
extra land. I mean, you know, it's best to use the property you already own. Let's over here.
Like this is one-time money. Like this money isn't coming back. Like we're not going to get another big giant $5 million chunk of money. Like we need to be. So what?
You never know.
Well, I guess we don't know, but this is one-time money, and I feel like it should be used to kind of push Jacksonville forward. I mean, like you already have a lot of things on here for kids to do, and there's a lot of great options on here. But I mean, like this $350,000, we still have like safety that we have to deal with. Chief Hibbs had 5 vehicles that he wanted. I know that when he initially came in, he had a plan that he wanted to buy 8 this year. He has 2, so why don't, what if we take $69,000 from this and get him another vehicle? Like I feel that this money could be split up and spent in other ways other than splash. Again, I like everything, close to everything else, but that's just the one that I just keep getting hung up on.
Okay. Anyone else?
When I'm not familiar with splash pads, we call them puddles, I guess, when I was growing up.
Back in our day, yeah.
But it's what I'm thinking is, what's in Little Rock downtown right before you go across the Main Street Bridge? Is that not a splash pad down there, right in the middle of downtown?
I believe so. And, right.
I mean, why, if they can have the one downtown Little Rock, I don't know why we can't.
Well, the one in Bentonville is
It's in their
right
town square. I mean, it is
downtown,
right down
and
there.
next to it is a microbrewery.
Right.
And apartment complex next door, but it's the one, they have one at Dickie Stevens Park also, and they had one at where the College World Series was. They showed the children just playing in it there, so.
And it's not a swimming place, right?
It's not.
just
No.
water coming up out of the ground.
Sprays out of the ground, sprays out of features, right. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
it's kind of running through the sprinkler. And, that was our splash pad. We had the sprinkler, we were running, jump through it.
I think the water circulates, correct?
They have both options. One's a pass-through, they call, and one's recirculating. One the size that we would want to put in would be a recirculating.
I mean, I love the idea of a splash pad. I would like to see it somewhere else than there because of all the stuff that goes on there daily. And maybe that's not always going to be the case, and I hope it's
Oh, let's
not,
clean
but
that up.
Well, maybe if you
we
bring
keep the
things
police
to there,
department.
there'll be at least less reason to have that there.
Right.
And let me clarify, it's a good idea, so don't think we're not saying it's not a good
Yeah,
idea.
it's a great
I'm
idea.
trying to give you some other
Oh, and
options.
I'm listening.
Because some of the council members are gonna be at the splash pad, wherever you put it, they're gonna be out there.
Yeah, I can see me there. Any other questions for Kevin? And, because this is also going to brighten Main Street. We're going to add lights. I'm sorry,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Raines.
So with it being a recirculating system, where's the filtration equipment going to be stored?
Normally, and we're obviously not that far, there'd be plans drawn and things. Normally, you got a couple options, a level building to the side or underground. They can actually put them all underground with just control, like a vault, almost like Chamber Fountain has. There's stairs you go down into underground to get to that. You can do that.
Okay. Any other comments on that? All right. Anybody want to hear from any of the other
Thank you,
department
Ken.
heads?
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yes, okay.
Chief Waffle.
And you gotta remember, all the directors came together and they had their wish list, and then they all gave and take and worked together. It was a give. Every department didn't get what they wanted. I don't think any department did.
What's your question?
So you have on here initially you asked for $2 million for this fire station,
Yes.
and you reduced by $400,000, and so they want to approve 1.6. Is 1.6 enough to build this fire station?
No, it's not enough to build the station, and I've done a lot of research in the past 24 hours. Initially, when I came up with that $2 million, I was basing my information on some schematics and information from a previous fire chief from Cabot, who built a station for about $193 per square foot, but that was in 2018, what those costs were. I've talked to 3 other fire chiefs since then, the past 24 hours, concerning 6 stations built since 2019, and they're running $350 a square foot, up to $500 a square foot. They are astronomical. So this $2 million now has turned into $3.1 million. So it wasn't going to get completely funded anyway, but every little bit helps. So
So if you got this 1.6, it would just sit in an account until we got the rest of the money instead of actually working for the city?
I would assume so, and we would have to come up with a plan somehow as city leadership to come up with the rest of the money. Right. And I will say that in these 6 stations from these 3 chiefs, the information that I got, and I have a lot more information at the office, I just brought basic notes. There's at least 4 different engineering companies and at least 4 different builders, so this isn't a monopoly of what it is per square foot. This is across the board and through value engineering. So that's what we're looking at. It's not great news, but I'm digging deeper.
So when I showed up to the city council meeting, there was this big map sitting here on the table, and it has on here, they want to purchase the land for the fire station, which is $150,000. I'm only bringing this up because it says CDBG funds, which I know that we have Ms. Ingram here. And so is this $150,000? Is this guaranteed funds then? Do we actually have this $150,000 CDBG fund to buy the land so we can? Yeah. I
can't
would assume he
answer.
would-
I
No,
can't
he wouldn't
answer
know that
that.
answer.
Oh, he wouldn't know?
No.
Okay.
No.
My bad, sorry.
So, there's a present, some power slides that I gave to all of you. I'm presenting it to the feds. I have a meeting, a phone call with our feds. It is an allowable expense. One of the things that, because it's an unusual allowable expense, and it's not something that's being widely done, I have, in conjunction with Chief Laffey, locked down the rationale, locked tight. It's an allowable expense. What I'm doing is getting the real buy-in from the federal partners. There's a process to this, okay? So if you look at the purchase price is $165,000. We will be using all of we will be using COVID funds for that. And the reason why we're using the COVID funds is because we're making the rationale that EMTs, they respond to the health, any calls that are COVID related. So that's going to be the tie back to COVID.
I'm sorry, when you say COVID funds, do you mean COVID funds that you got that are separate
Yes.
from this ARPA money?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry,
And so,
keep it separate.
right. And so then and what we also did, I'm lining it out as that where it is a strategic purchase. So Chief Laffey lets us know that we are ISO 2. And in order to make sure we maintain that standard, this piece of property is only the strategic logical choice for us. So when you do a federal grant application and you write these things down, you make it so that it's undeniable, something that they'll approve. You just have to rationalize it in a way for them to see the need for it. And everything that I have in conjunction with Chief Laffey will ensure that. I'm 90% sure that we will get this funds.
Is it gonna be a matching grant, or you think you're just
No,
gonna
there's
get
no
all the
matching.
amount, period?
I have the funds currently, and already as the money is been awarded to the city. I have to get approval because I'm reallocating money for different things. Because we didn't get a lot of businesses that qualified under the economic, so we're taking money from that to put into this.
Which is not the normal, like, $200,000 that we get.
No,
Okay.
again, this is strictly COVID dollars that we had.
Okay. So, I guess going back to you, like, so if we get this, say the grant happens, I don't know how quickly it would happen, but say it does happen, and we put the 1.6 aside for you to sit on, how long feasibly do you think it would take for us to get the rest of the money in order to build it, and how much inflation of the price do you think will end up happening? Because right now you're at $2 million, so like by the time we get $2 million, is it going to be 3.5, and then we have to build up to 3.5, and by the time we get 3.5, it's going to be 4.2.
Right, of course, I can't answer to inflation, that could change, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter,
I
but
just
the
meant the
purchasing
inflation
power
price.
over a course of a couple of years, yeah, you're right, it's gonna change.
And Councilman Blevins, let me also let you know, this ARPA money is federal money. There's a deadline on that. It's not going to sit in an account.
Well, the
The money-
deadline's for 2 years from now, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when the deadline comes, it has to be expended. The check has written, I mean, it's not like, if you are already in the process of a project, there could be a possibility of a no-cost extension for the possibility of 6 months, but not anywhere, it's not where you can continue on. It doesn't, I'm just letting you know, it does not sit in an account where you can go. It must be expended because Congress then comes back and recoups all this money.
I do understand that, but I will also say that this is, almost $5.2 million. Again, one-time money that the city's never going to be able to get again. We just received this week, so I know that there's going to be a big push at the end of this for us to go ahead and accept this money. I'm going to try to table it to see if we can have a little more time to look at it, and I know that I'm probably going to get shut down, so I just want to get all my questions out and make sure that this is, want to make sure that I get everything pretty much thoroughly
Right, and
described. Although I really want us to have a fire station, I do have, this money is supposed to be working for us. Like for the last 6, 7, 8 months, I've been coming to the city council and I've been asking, hey, when are we going to have these meetings for this money so we could discuss it? And I keep getting told, well, it'll be soon. And now apparently we've had 2 meetings. I was never contacted. I don't know if anybody else on the council was contacted, but I'm looking at this money and like none of the stuff that I'm looking at was really stuff that I even thought that we were going to be having. I just want to make sure that we're not going to have money sitting around not doing anything for us that may not be relevant or enough money when it comes time for us to spend it. That's all. That's why I'm asking more questions.
Oh, no, I mean, your
Yeah.
questions are valid.
And this was the directors that came together and made this decision. This was, all the directors sat in the room, all of them gave, all of them pushed. None
They all
of
just
them-
got with
none of them
themselves
agreed.
and were like, hey, guys, let's all meet up. And they just did it all on their own.
Yeah,
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they did.
that's
I
how
mean,
the
they sat there
daily
and-
operation.
It's great.
And they worked together,
Can I say something?
yeah.
One thing I've noticed in the process of when I got this, I notified directors, talked to them, all of them on one accord. Now, for those who don't know what a one accord means, it's a team effort. So, going to what you said about the money,
Yes, sir.
we understand totally what you're saying, and I understand what Chief is doing. But this is something, and I'm going to say it in advance because of what you said. We don't have time to table it because it's an urgency under this.
Why is it an urgency?
Because you're going to lose money.
Okay,
Well,
so,
we have
I mean, we're not even able to spend the money now if we approve it.
No,
Right.
we have 3 council members that are not
No,
here.
I'm not talking about voting on it. We're discussing it tonight.
Yeah.
But I'm saying we need to really consider what's needed in our city. I'm not saying vote on it tonight.
Okay.
But you just said that we don't need to table it.
Councilmember Traylor.
Chief, you need a new fire station,
Yep.
Of course.
so it's 3.1 million right now.
That's my best guess.
Yeah, I mean,
I could put some
just-
effort to try to get it
just
down
a
to
number.
2.8 or
We'll
2.9.
say 3.1. Great. All right, so you would be coming to us wanting to build a new fire station at 3.1 million if we
Correct.
didn't have this money.
Correct.
So what we're saying is now this $3.1 million building is only going to cost 1.5 million.
Correct.
Or
And-
2.5 million.
Right.
Whichever one it would be. Not
Yes.
very good at math.
Right, so where's the rest of the money going to come from? That's part of what your question
But that is something
Right.
that we would have to come up with.
That's right.
Where's the rest of the money going to
That's
come
right.
from? And if it's something we need, then we come up with a way to build the building. We just don't have to spend 1.6 million extra dollars.
And how long can we hold on to that 1.6? I actually don't know the answer to that.
So y'all are in the process of putting your.
Cheryl, when's the final date for it to be allocated?
Next year, right?
December of 2024.
Yeah,
December
December.
2024. So I think maybe architects get together, let's see, what we can do is getting a shell, maybe not finishing the whole thing today, but getting the shell of a
And you're
building.
1.6 million, right?
No, I'm only giving 165,000.
1.6 of it. We'll spend ours later. Okay, well, that was just my point. I mean, we're gonna need to build a building. We're gonna put 1.6 million towards it. We need to be proceeding towards how are we gonna
And
build a
come up with the
building
deficit.
soon.
Okay, any further discussion on this? I mean, do we want to let y'all digest this for a week, or do we want to vote on it, or we want to wait till other
Still have
council
more
members here?
questions,
What's-
I'd like to table it and not
Until our
vote
next
tonight,
meeting.
since we have 3 council members that are out.
Okay,
I'd
I
like
still
to
would like
make-
to ask some questions though, while we have the directors here.
okay.
I'm
Go
not-
ahead and ask a question. I thought you were through, I'm sorry.
I'm through with Chief Walker, thank you very much, Chief, and I'm through with Ms. Grant, thank you very much, ma'am. I'd like to speak to wastewater. How's it going, ma'am?
Hello, good evening.
I saw in here that you had $1 million on here for your wastewater, and it's knocked down to $500,000. Now, I've already talked to you, and I just want to make sure that this is clear. When you came to us about the $8 billion grant, and I talked to you about the money that was listed, there was $1 million that came from the city that was part of your budget
Yes.
for that money.
Yes.
Was it this $1 million?
Yes, yes. Let me, excuse me, let me real briefly tell you what our need is, because I have been told that there's perception that wastewater has plenty of money and don't need anything. So let me just explain to you where the need comes from real quickly. 2 years ago, we started designing an upgrade to our treatment plant. It's 30 years old. A lot of the equipment is original. And we have put funds aside for this because it's all the equipment is extremely expensive. So when we started the upgrade, the estimate was about $14 million. And of course, as time went on, we got to our 60% design completion, and the estimate was up to $16 million. So at that point, we started taking a few things out. Some things we actually really need and are still going to have to try to fund in the future. But to get the price down, we cut some things out. Then when the bids were finally opened, the bids came in at $19.2 million. So in that process, we had some savings that we had put aside just for this purpose. We did the bond issue, and then we have a partnership with Waste Management for part of it. So that's how we were going to fund it, but we were looking at funding 14 to 16 million, and it's now, I think we've engineered it down to 18.6. So that is where our need came from. So when we did the bond issue, we were anticipating $1 million from the ARPA funds.
And if you don't mind, why were you thinking you were going to get $1 million from the ARPA funds?
Well, when the mayor and I had first talked about it, when the money first came in, initially it was set aside for water, sewer, and broadband. And so I didn't realize other things were going to be included at that time. And so
Neither did I.
we had talked about water and sewer each getting $1 million.
Okay, I guess, when did you find out that you weren't going to get the $1 million?
About 2 weeks ago, I guess, after the directors were meeting. Well, no, let me back up. Back in February is when I learned that the money could be used for other things, and each director was being asked to make a list of what they needed. And then a couple weeks ago is when I saw the list.
But you still thought you were still getting the million.
Up until I saw the list, yes.
So how does this affect the bond that you applied for, stating that you had that $1 million coming in?
I don't know how it will affect the bond. It affects us in our cash flow process because when we got the bond issue, we had to provide them with a projected cash flow so they could do our rating and all that. And in that, we had shown that we would have $1 million coming in.
Okay, and I'm going to end up asking the same question to Jake when we get water up here. But because you were getting this $1 million when the city back at the beginning of, or back at the end of last year, opted to give premium pay to all the employees out of this money, both you and water decided not to take that money and decided to use your own money primarily because you had $1 million coming to you.
Correct. Correct.
So now that you're not even getting the $1 million, you're also out the whatever $40,000 that you spent on premium pay.
Yes, ours was 30,000. Yes.
30,000. Okay. How detrimental is it that you get the other $500,000?
Well, obviously we need it because the bids came in so much higher and we had not anticipated that. We are applying for additional ARPA money from the state, but the Natural Resources Division has printed their list of criteria that it takes to get those funds, and I don't think that we don't score very high on the criteria, so, and they're very limited as well in their funds. So if we do not get additional funding from anywhere else, then we will use more of the reserve that we had intended to put back into the items that we cut out. So we'll pay for what we've got going right now, but we won't be able to put the equipment back in that we had cut out.
Okay. I guess that's my question. I don't know if anybody else has any questions.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Somebody else wants to talk to somebody? If not, I'd like to talk to water, please.
Is Jake here? Yeah.
How's it going, sir?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing right. You have on here that you wanted $1.87 billion.
Yes, sir.
That's definitely far above whatever the $1 million would be. And this says
Sure.
it's for the widening of 167.
It's
Like-
for the water line relocations.
Yeah.
As part of that project.
Is this
yes.
is this our part of that, or is this the just the full cost that the city has to pay? I thought this would be like the state would have to pay it because we're moving.
The total project cost, engineering and construction, is upwards of, for us, of $6.4 million. 70.69% of that is reimbursable by RDOT. So that gives us a little over $4 million reimbursed. And so the 1.8 that I requested was just to make up that shortfall as far as what we'd be coming out of reserves with to pay for that project.
When you did your budget, did you budget $1 million?
I did, yes, sir.
And I'm just going to say, is it for the same reason you thought you were going to get $1 million?
I was certainly led to believe that, yes.
Okay.
For the reasons that, as Thea said, that, you know, at the time when this money originally came, I think it's around this time last year when we first learned about it, maybe even a little before, but it was my understanding that it was originally earmarked for water, sewer, and broadband projects. And I don't know if the guidance changed or if we just didn't have guidance on how it could be spent, and maybe Cheryl can speak more eloquently about that than I can, but things had changed, and that allowed the city some more flexibility in how the dollars could be allocated.
And when did you find out that you weren't getting $1 million?
2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay. How detrimental is it that you don't get the $500,000?
We could use it, sure, but we operate, I don't spend money unless I have it. And so, you know, there's been a couple projects that we've had budgeted this year. Getting vehicles being one thing. We've had a lack of success in that area, procuring vehicles, so we've held off on doing some of those things. I've got a roof at West Main that needs to be replaced. and I've got a tank at Ray Road that needs to be painted and cleaned. So we've held off on doing some things, just kind of waiting to see the status of this money. I wasn't going to spend it until I had it.
Okay, and also when it came to the premium pay, you paid it out of pocket instead of taking it from the fund because
Yeah.
you thought you had the $1 million coming in.
The commission elected to do that out of pocket, yes.
And how much was that?
Roughly $30,000, a little above that.
Okay. Okay, that's what I need.
Thank you, Jake. Any other questions? Anybody else you want to talk to?
No, I think that, I believe that's gonna set me for right now.
Okay. And Councilmember Twitty, would you like to make a motion to?
I'd like to
hold
make a
this
motion to table.
Until our next meeting?
Until our next meeting, yeah.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
Thank you.
All right, now then, Ms. Emily, you're up. Request to accept bid for the 360 mailbox.
Yes, so this is, like the mayor said, this will move our mailboxes from an on-premise Exchange server, which is pretty dated, to the Office 365 cloud. And we had 4 bids and they all appeared to offer the same thing. I set out a list of guidelines and they all followed that. So I'm going to go with the lowest one is what I'm recommending, which was NetGain Technologies, $24,381.50.
Which I know that's below the threshold. I think y'all just need to be aware of what we're doing and.
Yes.
And maybe explain what it means, because I don't think a whole lot of us understand technology stuff.
Basically now all our mailboxes are stored on a server here at the city that, like space gets pretty tight with that. I know that we've had to restrict the size of like emails that are coming in so that it doesn't get too full. Everyone only has 2 gigs for their mailboxes so that we don't run out of space to store all the mail. So this is basically going to bring us sort of into the present now. It's going to move all these to the Microsoft cloud. We're going for G1 licensing, which is government licensing. So that is supposed to be like certified for, I don't know what all the different certifications would be, like HIPAA certified and all that as far as security goes. That's basically what sets it apart from just regular commercial licensing. And so the process that we were sending out for bid was to actually migrate our mailboxes on site to the Microsoft G1 cloud.
That's all this is doing. What's the monthly cost going to the Microsoft cloud gonna be?
The monthly cost, I actually don't
It's
have that
not
with
cheap.
me. It is not. Oh, did I not bring that with me? I think it was $1,400. It was, so it's $8.80 per person per month for the G1 license and the Azure license for the multi-factor authentication, which is a security measure that will make you have more than just a password to sign into your email. That is $6 per user per month.
But that includes the whole Microsoft suite of
So
programs, right?
that will be, so it comes with SharePoint, Teams, 1 terabyte of OneDrive usage, a 50 gig mailbox, and then web versions of Excel and Word and PowerPoint.
But those can be put on your desktop or your laptop as well.
Correct.
You don't have to use the web version. Right?
Correct.
I guess this is where the world's going.
I hope so. Yeah, so it'll cover everything. They take care of all the updates and everything like that. So, yeah, that's the plan. Is just move mailboxes to the cloud. So.
Any further questions?
Yes, so with the email mailboxes being transferred to the cloud, the new server that's coming on board, the $50,000.
Is your mic on?
It is. So what will that just be like people's drives or?
So yes, the major space taker-uppers with that are 2 file servers, one that is a document storage, one that is for all the police department files, and then there is a, I don't want to get too detailed into it, but there's like a suite of applications that run, that we use a lot for HR, finance, stuff like that, that take up several terabytes of space altogether. So that is the main thing with the new server that's on the ARPA funds is space, yes.
And so with this portion going to the cloud server, that should open up more space for those.
Yes, that should open up probably about 800 gigs, I think, of space on there.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Emily.
Yep.
Then I think it brings us to Stephanie Becker, Councilmember Blevins. You have a guess?
I was contacted by a citizen.
I know that we don't have to. It was only 24,000. It's more informative than anything else. Yeah, okay, you're up.
All right, thank you, Mayor. I was contacted by Ms. Becker regarding the recycling program. She had asked questions about her bill, about how she's still getting charged for recycling. There is no curbside recycling. She asked if she'd come speak before the city council. So Ms. Becker, would like to come up and speak. We have Jimmy Oakley here as well. He's he hopefully will be able to answer some of your concerns.
Just state your name, please.
Stephanie Becker.
Yeah, but to the mic, so it needs to record.
Oh, okay, sorry. Can you hear me? All right, I just prepared a statement that I wrote. Good evening. My name is Stephanie, and I've been a citizen of Jacksonville for the last 18 years. I'm here today to address my grievances in regards to the curbside pickup for recyclables being eliminated. Without communication or notice, suddenly our curbside pickup for recyclables just ceased to exist. After several weeks of my family putting them out with no pickup, I called the sanitation department to find out what was going on, and I was told that they put a pause on picking them up due to COVID, which I thought was interesting because whether someone picked them up or they were dropped off, someone would still be handling them. Fast forward to May of this year, I sent an email to the sanitation department to ask how long they were going to use COVID as an excuse to not pick up recyclables. I was informed that it was now a money issue and that instead there was a full-service recycling drive-through facility where I could drop them off Tuesday through Saturday, 8 to 5. In the email, it also stated, and I quote, "This program has been well received and has significantly reduced the carbon footprint of our recycling program," end quote. I argue, by who? And how has this significantly reduced the program's carbon footprint when now everyone has to drive to the recycling center? So are we just trading carbon credits? Now, or not only that, due to the inconvenience of drop-off, more people are throwing them away. I was recently informed that the participation rate for recycling has dropped by over 50% since curbside pickup was terminated. In closing of that email, it stated, "We appreciate, quote, we appreciate the opportunity to provide the best and most efficient sanitation and recycling service possible," end quote. This is the best and most efficient Jacksonville has to offer. If you look up efficient in the dictionary, it says acting or producing effectively with a minimum of waste, expense, or unnecessary effort. I would argue none of these things apply. So not only has this drop-off plan reduced recycling participation, the citizens of Jacksonville now have the inconvenience of having to bring recyclables in, while at the same time, we're still being charged the same sanitation rate for less service. Since I have a large family, we need to recycle or we wouldn't have any room in our trash can every week. Also, considering that there's a shortage on aluminum and steel among the many shortages, I would rather see these items get reused rather than wasted. Since dropping off recyclables for the last 2.5 years has been an inconvenience on my family, I recently decided to put a poll out on the next door neighbor site to see if fellow citizens of Jacksonville feel as irritated as I have been. This is what I found so far. 22% said no pickup equals more likely to throw away recyclables. 33% said they were more likely to recycle if there was pickup. 22% said they used to recycle when there was pickup. 18 said dropping off recyclables is inconvenient. And lastly, 5% felt that dropping off was convenient. So with that being said, I would like to propose a few ideas. The large metal bins should be placed outside of the gates of the recycle center where anyone can drop them off 24 hours a day. Why is the city wasting money by having sanitation workers watch people drop recyclables off? I was told it was to make sure people put everything in the correct bins. Does the city not think people are capable of reading the labels on the bins? After all, we used to separate them at home without supervision. I also think the city should resume curbside pickup of recyclables, and large trash can size bins should be provided to the citizens, just like all the surrounding cities. In order to save money, the city could do a bi-weekly pickup of recyclables since the bins are larger. And secondly, according to the sanitation webpage, bulk pickup is weekly. So in order to save money on this service, they could instead be offered bi-weekly and use the off weeks when there is no pickup for recyclables. Lastly, why is the city not trying to get the participation rate for the recycling? Oh no, I just lost my spot, sorry. I apologize.
Ms. Becker, while you're looking for that, I need to let you know, I'll need a copy of your written statement.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Lastly, why is the city not trying to get the participation rate up for recycling in order to make more money on the sale of those recyclables? By doing this, it could offset some of the costs to the sanitation budget and perhaps create additional money for other things to better our community. I was told the participation rate during curbside pickup was just 17%. Perhaps if the benefits of participation is communicated to the citizens and could possibly reduce the risk of future increases in sanitation rates, more citizens would probably be willing to participate. In closing, I want to say this. Communication is key to building a better community. Since living here, I've noticed that this has been lacking for Jacksonville. I've received mailers from Sherwood, and I don't even live there. I'm more informed on events, etc., on what's happening in their city than my own. Whether it be youth sports, sanitation issues, special elections, community events, etc., these things should be communicated to the citizens of Jacksonville to make a better and more prosperous city for all of us. Thank you.
Anybody have questions or comments? Do you have a question of the director?
He had a comment about some of the things that were said.
We did stop curbside recycling, is correct. Our equipment, as I've spoken to you aldermen, is old, deficient. We looked at contracting recycling curbside out. It comes with a price tag, I believe, between 5 and 6, what it Mayor, per customer per month.
571, I think.
Yeah, 571, so that'll equate out to about 10,000 customers to about $600,000. The auditor mentioned that we did show a profit, I think, of about $50,000. So that's a big difference, $50,000, all we have left. If we showed a profit in sanitation, we need $600,000. So we'd have to have a rate increase. If y'all choose to do that and get into that contract, that's, I mean, there's no way we can do it on the current budget we have.
And Little Rock, North Little Rock and Sherwood all have waste management doing a single stream recycling at $571 a month per, and it's for every household, whether you recycle or not. And they're still running 30%.
Yes, sir. And that'd be bi-weekly too at that cost.
You're right. Any other questions? Okay. All right. And you have another, you have Mr. Laney here to speak?
Thank you, Mayor. I have Lance Delaney and Doug Jones, and I believe they may even had a third person with them. I'm not sure if they, I don't know if it's just them. Both these citizens live in Loop Acres. They're right there where the construction is being done for all the duplexes and triplexes and single-family homes right off of TP White. And they've had some issues, and just let them talk for themselves. Go ahead.
Okay, we need your name for the record.
My name's Lance Delaney. I live at 2312 Loop Acres Road here in town, and I've lived there for 21 years, and I've never had a problem with flooding. I'm extremely concerned about the development, Green Hill Estates, going on to the west and the north of my property. The developers of this property are now installing the groundwork for roads and site pads, as well as houses, as we speak. Weatherly Road is the new road that is being constructed about 100 feet north of my property and is currently so tall that my home and land are sitting in a bowl. They have literally built what looks like a dam. I've reached out to Adam Whitlow, city engineer, who has in turn sent a letter of concern to the engineers at the company in charge of this development. The head engineer told me that they hope to figure this out. I would like to ask the council what needs to be done that would require and not just suggest that this developer have to construct a concrete culvert like I see all over Jacksonville to basically separate our existing properties from this development. This would funnel all rainwater from our west, which will get in our backyards, down to the north under this new road. And I would also like to publicly invite everyone on the council over to my backyard so you can see for yourself that I'm not just here to complain. This is a legit concern. I've had a handful of council members and planning commission folks over to look, and everyone agrees with this concern. Now, I have been reassured that it's being worked on, but I just wanted this on public record for future reference if need be.
Okay. Is Adam here?
Mr. Delaney, I also need a copy of your written statement.
I got you a copy.
Okay. And I think this,
I've got a flash
the
drive
bond
with
consulting-
about 5 pictures on it. if
The
you
bond
care.
engineering firm actually called me today on this issue. and,
Lance, can you repeat what you just said?
I've got a flash drive with 5 pictures on it if y'all are interested.
I would like for you to share that.
The road they're currently building, I'm 6 foot tall. I went and stood by it. It's to my shoulder. I got a picture on there of me standing in my property, which is a little lower, because they've already built these up. And it's halfway up my window. That's how tall the road is. And it butts up 100 feet from my fence. And we're in a floodplain.
Could you address
Sure.
some of the issues that?
Be glad to, Mayor. On August 30th, based on the concern, I performed a site inspection. The stage of construction they're at right now is primarily grading and earthwork. No infrastructure is going in yet. And I did find deficiencies. I can corroborate what Mr. Delaney's said. The entrance road coming in, the tie-in off of Loop Acres, the dirt is piled high, and it presents as a dam. So I took pictures, wrote an inspection letter, sent to Bond Engineering, the project engineer, and received a response back that they were sending survey crews out to cross-section of the land. That they wasn't sure at this point if the dirt was to its proposed grade, so there were some unknowns at that point. So I've since talked to Mr. Robinson at Bond Engineering, and they are in the process of working a solution. So they essentially have corroborated what our concerns were. As of speaking with him today, we're waiting on them to come back with us with a proposed plan, corrective actions. So I am satisfied at this point that they are moving forward. We won't let them, quote, move forward forever without some action taken. But at this point, I'm satisfied with Mr. Robinson's response. and we will continue to follow up with this.
And they'll have to pass inspection before they move too much further.
Right. And like I said, we are in early stages of construction, so no infrastructure's in at this point, so it's, no, this is the point where we need to address these concerns. Things can change at this point. The road that we're talking about for, this predated me coming on as a full-time staff member at Jacksonville, but I went back and read through the minutes. So this particular road was kind of one of the last additions to the set of plans. There was concerns of ingress, egress, having enough ingress, egress points to the subdivision. So this road was added kind of late in the game. So I'm looking at it, reading between the lines. I mean, I think maybe the project engineer, some stuff maybe got by him. So maybe it got to this point where it's at, but he is well aware of the deficiency and it is, this would come back on him, so liability wise. So they're extremely invested and, in seeing that it's correct.
I've also spoke with Aaron Robinson, and his proposed solution to this was an 18-inch or maybe 24-inch drain pipe under this road that's now sitting at about 5 foot tall. He said he'll try to squeeze one under there, or maybe two. That's not going to be adequate for the rain flow that goes through this now, I don't know, what is it, 26 acre development, which leaves me, my house, and my property, the absolute lowest spot in this whole, you can call it 30 acres probably, because it includes our existing houses. So I'll explain some of these photos if you want.
Am I going to go to the first one?
That's my street and my mailbox. The street is built like this, if you will. I'm the lowest spot.
You can see it coming down.
You can, that's the road they're building that's going to dam up the water that flows like this, 100 feet from my lot right there. It's about 5 foot tall right now. And he's proposing to put an 18-inch or 24-inch pipe under it. It's not going to handle the flow of that water. And I'm pretty sure he's aware of that. And mind you, there's a creek 200 yards north that the water's supposed to go to. That's just a shot so you can see that my shoulders, where they are on my house now. That's how tall the road is. And that's, you can't really tell, but that house, the houses they're building right on my fence line are as tall as my above the ground swimming pool.
They're
4.5 foot off the ground, which means they're going to have to grade that yard. See, there's the finished slab, almost as tall as my 4 foot cattle panel, which means they're going to still have to grade these yards down. Their back porches
no way where this water can go.
Are that high. So yeah, I'm thinking I have legit concerns. And that's an example of a concrete culvert that's actually in front of Moore's Funeral Home that I would like to see, we all would like to see, installed to separate our backyards basically from this whole development and run north all the way to the creek. That's all I got. And then that culvert would catch all the water from this development and not add any new water to our existing houses, which are in the floodplain. Because in order for them to build on this floodplain, to my understanding, they've got to build everything 2 foot taller than flood level. So behind my house, west, it's going to be as tall as that road. And it butts directly up to my back fence, which is going to give us all the water. So that's
Adam,
all I've
wouldn't you
got.
agree that we've got time before the final plat approval?
That's why I'm here
With
early.
coming to see how and where we're gonna need to.
Right now, there's a 10-inch pipe laid down.
Yeah,
That was laid
today they laid a
10-inch.
pipe through the road that's about
It's
this big.
not enough.
And then Adam would have an opportunity, certainly.
Right, yeah, but we anticipate a plan within the next week. I mean, before any, right now they have no drainage infrastructure installed. So there's a significant amount of drainage infrastructure that will be going into this. The subdivision itself, it has a road that runs northerly, one lot deep. So there will be a row of lots that back up against Mr. Delaney. there will be no water, according to the current plan, that in the main development that will able to be able to cross that road and get to the east where Mr. Delaney's lots are. So we're comfortable looking at the plan that we know that water's handled and will be funneled north. So the water we're talking about concern is basically the one lot deep, row of lots that would be backing up to Mr. Delaney.
Mhm.
So the options for those are, one, to grade them appropriately, to slope them towards the road to the west, where maybe there would be a little bit of back slope that drain toward Mr. Delaney, a swell down the back of the lot lines as he's discussed, whether it be concrete or grass or some other mechanism to funnel it to. And it will eventually meet that road that we've seen pictures of there that we're saying runs perpendicular. There will need to be a cross drain adequately sized to funnel that water under that road. Once it crosses under that road, then we got a clear shot down to the large flood basin, the creek there. So one of the things that I'll be looking at as the city engineer is I'll be looking at the drainage calculations. So Mr. Robinson, project engineer, will have to provide drainage calculations, 10, 25-year storm event to convince me that during this event that won't be detrimental impact to the adjoining property owners. Unfortunately, as far as fill, we're bound by the regulations of the National Flood Insurance Program. So that program does require any new construction, the finished floors of the structures to be 2 feet above. So that's just the safety that's built in. That's was passed in the floodplain flood damage prevention ordinance. So yes, there does have to be a level of fill, but we want to do that in such a way that it doesn't make a detrimental impact to the adjoining
I
houses.
think that it's imperative that we do something temporarily right now, because I stood in this man's backyard, flat-footed on the ground, and I could see the equipment that they're using to build all that over there. I had to look up at it. That's how tall, it's.
And may I add, I'm the only one this is going to affect.
And
Because everybody else, all the water in my neighbor's backyards ends up in my yard.
And there's nowhere
They don't
for it
have
to
worry
go
about
right
it.
now
If they
because
get
the
water
houses
from that
that they
subdivision
built.
coming this way, it's going to come that way.
And I don't think a 10-inch
And
pipe
the
temporary.
yards next to me are
Can I ask
5
a
foot
question?
tall.
Just want to ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Looking at this drainage that we're looking at down this picture,
Mhm.
is it possible
Mhm.
to put that in?
Mhm.
I'm just asking.
To possible put
To
the
install
concrete.
that to prevent his property from being flooded. Is it possible? Are we early enough in the game that we could do this?
Oh, absolutely. There's no, there's certainly changes that could be made in the infrastructure.
So is that a directive that we can give the contractor to do this? Because a 10-inch pipe with water, that's not,
Pipes this big, they put it
That's-
under
that's-
today.
Well, I'll say this, we try not to, we've got certain guidelines, that we provide to the contractors and engineers. They're in our subdivision regulations and adopted. So we try to get them flexibility within those regulations to not stymie creative, I certainly as a city engineer don't need to get into designing for private, for individuals.
So basically what
But-
you're saying is, your job is to make sure that before they build anything, Mr. Delaney doesn't have a problem.
Right. I would say mine's going to be from a quality control standpoint. Now, that certainly can be a recommendation. And I don't mind recommendation. Matter of fact, for my inspection letter, that was a recommendation. I didn't get into stating whether it be concrete or grass. I just recommended a swell down the east side, the back of the lots. I'm sorry. Yes, sir, Mr. Blevins.
Excuse me, is this a swell? Is this what a swell looks like? Or is this
Yes,
just
that's a swell. No, a culvert is enclosed. Culvert is a pipe.
So we can
That
have one of
is
these
a,
potentially.
yeah, that's a concrete swell.
Nice.
Or concrete ditch, whatever
Well, it only
term
would
you
make
want.
sense to separate our existing houses that are in the floodplain from this 26-acre development with something like that would
Right.
channel the water north under roads that are being built 6 foot tall and send it 200 yards to the creek. That's what the creek's meant for.
But what you're saying is it wouldn't necessarily have to be concrete.
Wouldn't necessarily have to be concrete, as long as they had the capacity, as long as it had the capacity. I mean, and I'm not saying there's not a level of, say if the lots were graded and sloped towards the street and you had 10 foot of, yard and a back slope, the aesthetics wouldn't look good, but would it make a detrimental impact on the drainage to Mr. Delaney's lot? Not necessarily. I mean, we could evaluate things like that. But certainly here, we recommend a swell. That way, it's clear. We got a good big drainage basin to take it to. So in this case, we have a place to go with it.
I guess if it was a grass swell though, who would be responsible for the maintenance of it?
It
Make sure
would-
that it stayed clear.
It would be the homeowners in this case.
individual homeowner.
The individual homeowner. It'd be an easement on the back of the lot. So it'd be like the front from the property line to the curb. They would mow and maintain that. So with any drainage infrastructure, yeah, you run the risk of someone's building a fence or something like that. So, we look at those as much as we can and enforce what we can.
I'd like to state that when this got brought before the city council, even when the planning commission approved it and we sent it back, and then they came back and sent it back and came back, like this is not something new. I know you're saying that like we don't like to go tell them because we have like things that we're able to say and what we're not able to say. But this specific instance, like this exact thing about the flooding was mentioned, and they said at the time that it was only going to be like when they leveled it out, they said it was only going to be like 1 foot to 2 foot high. And this is like 4 foot high now, which is already past what they had mentioned to begin with. But I mean, this was already brought up, and they said that they had a plan at that time. And I know that Mr. Delaney said they put a 10-inch pipe down there today, which wasn't there any time before. Like, did you see on the plans before now that they were going to put pipes down to stop the flooding? And did you know that it was going to be 4 foot high when they built it?
No, and as a matter of fact, Mr. Robinson still, that's one of the things why he said, I need to go out and run some cross sections, because I brought up the same thing. I said, this road, it looks abnormally high even where it's at. So I know I'm not sure we have no idea where they're at construction, what portion they're filling, but it looked like almost they had staged extra dirt where this road was going to go.
Right.
So that was one of my concerns that I brought up to the project engineer. It's like, I don't know if this is to subgrade or not, but it looks excessively high. And his response to me was, the design was not to be that high from what he understood. So he was going to look at, like I said.
Yeah, when we approved it, it wasn't like, this is not anywhere near like what they came up with when they brought it.
Right. Yeah, and he still had stated that to me in an email, that he thought it was at or below the existing grade, or certainly not to the point it was. So I can't really tell you where the dirt's at, but it is high. Yeah, you look at it and it looks high.
It will do you justice if you just come to my backyard for 10 minutes. And not look at it from their side of the development, but look at it from my side of the development. Yeah.
If they look at it from their side, they won't even see you.
No.
So,
Well, and from what I understand, the developer is the one that's building the two houses adjacent to this road. So he stands to hurt himself as much as anybody.
But his finished slabs are 4.5 foot off the ground. Mine's here.
Right.
It's a catastrophe waiting to happen, that's all it is.
yes.
Somebody had to instruct him to build that road above floodplain.
I'm right on Loop Road, anybody who wants to come anytime.
Along the way. We didn't tell him when we was at the plan out. We
Right.
didn't tell him that.
Well, and this gets into, the question about just procedure and stage construction. It's something that I sent an email out, this last week to Bond, because they do majority of the work, and said, I would like to get back to a process where we have a pre-construction meeting, with the staff. I mean, I know the public works has been operating, short-staffed without a city engineer for a while. So I'm trying to pick up, learn what I can from Mr. Oakley and implement those procedures that we didn't have, that we had short-staffed to. So that will address, hopefully, some of these issues in the future,
Director Oakley.
Yes, I'd like to just comment. The city council has the last word in this before we pass the final plan. It has to be done to y'all's satisfactory, and to the satisfactory of the neighbors, so.
And we haven't, the final plat hadn't come
As
from.
Susan said.
And do we have any concerns over the two existing lots that have now been built on as far as changing their elevation from prior plat approval?
I'm not sure I understood that question.
The plat was approved at a certain elevation prior. These two lots they built on were already platted. They're not a part of the final plat.
That's right. They were already
The
final
elevation has
platted.
been changed on these two lots.
Yes, they had to because they was platted when it was at base flood elevation, could be built for the floor is at base level. Now, the new ordinance y'all passed a couple years ago, it had to be 2 foot above base flood elevation.
But-
For FEMA, for us to have our rating to lower the insurance.
Right.
But Peacock owned these lots previously, and
Correct.
came in, cleared the woods off of them, went down to the creek, dug a huge hole down there, and brought all the dirt back up there. So my yard's here, they built the lots next to me up here, they actually shot the elevation off of my front porch, which is about this much taller than the sidewalk. So all these lots next door are already taller than mine.
Yeah.
And now they're gonna add them up more.
Here's what I think we need to address. Do what you can to work with him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And like I said,
Make sure.
we've had communication,
Yes,
and I don't think Mr. Delaney has, has doubted anything I've said. It's, his concern is just so great that I think he wanted to bring it before y'all.
Yes,
And-
get it
and,
on the record.
The most thing I can say is yes, we're following our, due diligence, as much as we can for regulations. And I'm, at this point, we're waiting for the plan and, hopefully we get some results. If not, I can assure you, I don't mind to stand toe to toe against their engineer and I come from the private sector, so this is my comfort level. I've done this for 25 years. Drainage is my specialty.
Well, just to let y'all know, I've got a very nice piece of property over there and a very nice backyard with a swimming pool and everything in it. And the last thing I need after 24 years of no water and no issues is 5 feet of water in my backyard. It's gonna ruin the pool and everything else. And I've got outbuildings out there. I'm in the flooring business. One of them's got about $15,000 worth of flooring in it. Don't need water in that. And 24 years, I've never had an issue. The water's always just flowed right on through there. I get a lot of it, but I've dealt with it and it's never stopped. It keeps moving. Now I don't see how that's gonna happen.
Thank you, Mr. Laney.
Appreciate y'all.
And we will be in touch. Anytime you want to talk to our city engineer, feel free to talk to him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next order of business is to reappoint Timothy Thomas Jr. for a term to expire 4/20/2030.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay, and the last thing is Cheryl, you want to talk about the award that we know you already got, and what an honor it is to receive that award, and what a great job you've done.
Yeah, we submit our annual financial report every year to GFOA.
Cheryl, you need to turn your mic on.
I thought it was already still on.
I don't think it is.
It is now. Okay. We submit our financial report every year to GFOA, which is our National Government Finance Officers Association, for an award for excellence in reporting. And 2020 financial report, I think that was like the 27th year in a row that we've received that honor. And we're going to be submitting this one that, the book that you have in front of you, we'll be submitting that this next week to GFOA for another award.
And how many years in a row have we gotten that?
I think it's 27.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay. Concludes, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Any announcements?
You told me to remind them, September 26th at 6 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
My sons and I will be on Family Feud.
All right. We're adjourned.